Welcome to Allegedly Higher, where humor, insight, and passion collide with higher education. Hosted by Dr. Erin and Dr. Candice. Join them as they dive into headlines, interview leaders, and challenge norms. From dismantling systems to championing equity, this podcast is your go-to for transforming the ivory tower. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Allegedly Higher, the podcast where we dissect higher ed issues with the human-centered lens and the pop culture flair. My name is Dr. Erin Wheeler, and my lovely co-host is Dr. Candice Jackson.
Hello, hello.
Well, thank you for joining us. We made it to number 10.
Yay! Where is the confetti? We have to have confetti.
I know I'm no DJ, so I don't have no special effects. We can see if I can post edit the hip hop horn.
Okay.
Oh gosh, but thank you all for joining in. If this is your first time listening, thank you so much. Go back and listen to our other episodes to get a feel for who we are. But we break down some pop culture segments. And we also break down the hottest issues in higher education. So we know y'all are busy. We have somewhat exited the formal higher ed. So we have a little bit more time on our hands, but we know you all are busy serving our students. So we want to provide you with the latest up to date. We want to entertain you to get you through and not through boring meetings. We don't want you listening to us through the meetings. We want you to be able to decompress in your office after stupid meetings. Right. And we also want you to have a little bit of professional development, stay up to breast on the latest topics, because we know y'all don't have a chance to do that. Right.
No, do not listen to this during the board meeting.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. I'm winking at you.
Yeah. Wink, wink. Just make sure the volume turned down and your AirPods is charged.
Yes.
And this counts as professional development and working if you're listening to us. If you did not know that, this counts. So if you are in your office listening to this and a boss comes in, say that you are doing professional development.
Yes.
We are intentional about putting in things to professionally develop you, all the while providing you some light entertainment and some informative things. So that is Allegedly Higher. You want to just jump right into it?
Yeah, get started. Let's go.
We've already had our last. There's a couple of pieces of news that we're not going to share here. We just can't. We cannot deliver it in a very ethical, moral. It's just not right for ears. We would get canceled. So these are the things that we selected that we can talk about with a straight face.
Okay.
A little bit.
My face. Listener, if you're listening, I am straightening my face. Okay. All right.
So the Olympics just ended. I didn't watch as much, but I'm glad of the social media era where I can get little bits and pieces of content, right? Snoop did his thing.
Yes. And Flavor Flav.
And Flav.
Yes.
That I don't know. That just warmed my heart to see those two in there. Just them amazed at the gymnastics and the I think Flav sponsored the polo team.
Yes, the female water polo. Yeah.
And he's giving a bronze gold clock to Jordan.
Yes.
Child.
I watched quite a bit of it, as much as I possibly could, particularly gymnastics, track, swimming. Jordan Childs was definitely that's going to be a lesson learned on so many levels because of the twists and the turns of this case. They judged her incorrectly, which actually to me negates what you say, that her coach should have challenged the scoring, because you judged it incorrectly at the beginning. right? So had you done and taken into all of the account at the onset, there wouldn't have been a need for the challenge because you judged it incorrectly. And so then you said, oh, it was over a minute. And then we have video footage that says, no,
It's
it
not.
wasn't. It was actually a minutes, seconds to spare. First of all, and I'm trying to understand, why do you think a minute is long enough for somebody to say challenge, right? But okay, they did
Yeah.
that
By
anyway.
the time your brain thinks about what's going on and then you confer with somebody to take action.
Right. But here's the thing. You all had the information. You messed up. So my challenge should not be under any time constraint because you messed up because I've submitted that information already, right? These are still,
Yeah.
again, we everything in culture we can always bring back to higher ed. You've already messed up because you didn't grade her fairly the first time. So when she, and then in the right time frame, because you have video evidence that says so, and
Mm-hmm.
then to find out that there's a compromised person on the panel. Now here's the thing that gets me. And my mama used to always say, you shun the appearance of evil, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the appearance of evil, of having a compromised person on the panel who has advocated for this particular country on regular basis, then that says to me that you are already compromised. But the ultimate for the IOC, I think, needs to be the judges messed up in the beginning. So she won. And had you done what you were supposed to do at step one, none of this would have happened. So whether or not she came in at a minute late or 2 minutes or the next day, literally you've made a mistake. The girl won outright.
To have her
Already.
go 2 places back
Right.
is crazy to me.
Exactly. So one thing about, that's, I think, that's something the IOC must handle. But I think that's also sort of a lesson in leadership and humanity. And though no everyone wants, so, and we've had this culture where, and we've created this as an American culture, I think, where everybody gets a participant trophy. There's 17th place, there's 18th place, and then they can't deal with. This is not about a young lady who couldn't handle having lost, but she actually won. And so um the adults in the room, the leaders in the room, have to then look at all of this. And these are easy things to do. This is not rocket science. This is humanity. She won. You messed up. Fix it. And I think sometimes even in leadership we don't do that.
So you watched the gymnastic part. Did you so happen to catch the breakdancing portion of the Olympics?
I did not. I you know, I was really glad that when I heard that they were adding it. I think that was great. Who judged that? I don't remember the prelims. I don't remember any of that. I just want to know who was on your panel of judges. I saw who won. Um, and I don't remember, like, so in gymnastics, you have certain skills that you must hit,
Uh-huh.
right? You got to do so many flips. Remember Dominique Dawes used to be the queen of the double pass. There has to be certain marks, you know,
Difficulty.
difficulty levels. Who who was what were the skills outlined? Who was on the judging panels? And as the old preacher used to say, and as y'all heard it on at late night, if you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, who in the hell left the gate open? Who in the hell left the gate open?
Well, the gate was open, and our fellow academician, RayGun, Rachel Gunner from Australia,
Mhm.
entered into the she found herself, well, she she was an Olympic competitor in breakdancing, Rachel. Wait, it's not RayGun. Her real name is, I thought her real name was Rachel Gunn. Made a mistake on my notes, but she's from Australia and she has a PhD in cultural studies, and she has been social media sensation for the wrong reasons. And she's defending her breakdancing performance, in which she got, well, the Olympic Committee, the judges, she got a total of like 0 out of 54 points. But in her defense of it, she says breakdancing, there is no points. I didn't even finish listening to that explanation because I just don't understand it. But it was bad. Y'all, it was bad.
I heard she did a move called the kangaroo hop. Okay, listen.
Do you think that was an original
Why
move
don't you just
from the
say
Bronx?
you wanted to be in an Olympic sport and you really wanted to choreograph your own thing? And I think that's wonderful. That's why they have Broadway, that's why they have dance studios, that's why they have music videos. But I'm going to tell you, it was a disservice. And then and the irony, of course, is to have two prominent, legendary hip hop artists as your ambassadors to the Olympics, and this is what you do. Without any concern for what are their skill sets, how many spins on their head, like how many turns back. There has to be consultation. And so it just reminds me so much of when people implement a new technology program, or they do something and they never ask the people, they didn't buy that module because they never asked the people who actually have to work with the program what they needed. And I've been through that. I feel like I'm triggered. But did y'all consult anybody who actually break dances at all? At all? At all? So you had Snoop right there. You had Flav right there. At all?
Well, needless to say, there will be no breakdancing competition in LA. It was not because of Dr. Rachel Gunn,
Yes.
but it doesn't need to be. The Lord saw fit to cancel this competition. And competitions roll in and roll out. Sometimes they're not popular, sometimes they come back in Olympics.
Well,
But
how many
but
times
for LA,
this was a one and done for breakdancing?
they need to retool and get it and do it better.
Well, they would have 4 years. I think it would be a disservice to take it out without saying, "Hey, let's retool this and make this even better the second
I
time."
don't even think it was. I don't know why. Like, the 28 was, usually playing uh
Yeah.
before the 24, but for whatever reason, is not going to make it to LA in 2028, which is unfortunate because
In LA.
culture. Yeah. Um, One thing that I rarely ever comment on social media. I should do more of it. I don't know why. I guess I feel like everybody has said so many dumb things, and so many people have said so many right things. I don't need to add my voice. But on this particular story, I don't know if it was Forbes or one of the Business Insider or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I giggled because I do keep up with this kind of stuff. So the Chipotle CEO is now the Starbucks CEO. And I was like, interesting. Scroll. And I said, nah, I got to see what the comments say. And so my original thought when I saw that was like, so we about to get started on syrups and stuff at Starbucks now? Because when you were CEO of Chipotle, people continuously continuously talked about your portion sizes relative to your prices. And you, as the CEO, did a whole video, was like, we we value our customers and we give a correct portion sizes, but you know, it's no big deal. If you want a little bit more, just do the nod. And so it was
Just do the nod.
yeah. So somebody was like, if you're listening, it's like you just nod, you just keep nodding because they never do give you the right portion of meat, sour cream, guacamole, rice, nothing.
Listen.
So now this CEO is the CEO of Starbucks.
And if we have to start paying for pup cups, it's a wrap.
Well, your pup cups might be 3/4 filled now. So yeah, that made me giggle. As soon as I hit the comment, everybody said the same thing.
Well, you know, it's one thing, you know, you do have those leaders who are coming in to fix and sometimes to rebuild and to destroy at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk back. I don't know this person. So some of his accomplishments at Chipotle was digital enhancements, menu diversification, and improved customer experiences, which I feel like that's BS. You can hashtag Chipotle and you gonna see other things come up.
So he brought in after the
yeah. I don't know if it was directly after the yeah. I don't know if it was directly after, but it was yeah. That wasn't during his tenure. So yeah. That was that. In a case of misplaced blame and a temper tantrum.
And there you go.
I love her so much. I stood out in a 98-degree heat for 3 hours waiting for her at Jazz Fest.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I wish I had on a bathing suit because I was really about to strip down. She didn't even do. She got one, like, sis, you got one album. You should be able to roll through that whole album in a set. Like everybody would have been. She didn't even do she didn't do Zion. She just didn't. And I was like, one and done. Right? One and done.
Right.
Have you seen
it's still one of I've never seen her. I probably never will.
Not at this pace.
No, never. And so it's one of those things where, you know, I was really excited for the possibility because at this age and now with grandchildren that she'll understand the meaning of time. That she will not it's kind of like even back then the mental health crisis was very real. She just couldn't navigate being the star and the burden of at that time the reinvention or this new birth of hip hop. And with her singing, the acting, the rapping, all of that was going on. She was so celebrated. And so when you're so celebrated your first time out, that is a heavy burden to bear. And so when she came back out and did back in the day when MTV did Unplugged, for those of you all know that MTV used to actually show music videos and music. So and it was this acoustic guitar and everybody was like, what is this? What is this? And I remember her making the statement, I didn't come out here for y'all, basically. Like this is for me. And yeah, but you know, even Miles would show up to the venue. Miles Davis would, you know, show up. He would perform sometimes with his back to the audience, but at least he was there. I think she just can't. I think she's just gotten. She has mental health issues in that way, but I think she's also been allowed to kind of just be Lauryn Hill.
Yeah, but we're tired of it. So Lauryn Hill and the Fugees had a tour scheduled when it was announced probably 6 years ago. I think it was a year. Everybody was like, we'll hold our breath.
and yet here we are, darling.
If we were still holding our breath, we would have passed out and long been perished, right? So Lauryn Hill goes on to blame. So I'm sorry, the tour was canceled. We was right. No, the US tour was canceled. We was right. Lauryn then fixes her mouth to say it's the media's fault. She almost said the fake news.
Well, I think for her, media is also the fact that she doesn't like being called out because people know she's not going to show. And they'd be like, just
It's
wait.
not the media, it's your own fans, Lauren. I just
Right.
said I stood out 3 hours and you came on stage 6 months pregnant in a black long dress with a vest and a coat over it in New Orleans in 98-degree heat. You had no practice. You were doing practice with the band on the stage.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I just don't think she's going to be one of those people who can perform. Like
No. And people, your true fans were willing to show up once, twice. But when you trying to go out when the moon and the stars align and the auras align, you wait for you waiting for that to go on stage. Like nobody's in this economy, nobody's willing to pay money.
No.
Now you probably couldn't have got away with it off of social media. Like if social media wouldn't have been there, word of mouth wouldn't have spread that quickly.
Right.
But you're doing this in an age of social media where it goes fast and people can agree all together and everybody's going to commiserate that we wasted our money.
Right.
Waiting on you. We only could stay for an hour because the babysitter had to go. We got work in the morning.
Or we had to miss you all together. I think it's not the media, but I think what she also has a problem, it seems as though in retaliation of I'm just doing me and y'all picking on me. Girl, we picking on you because you never show up or you're late or you whatever. And that's nobody's picking on you. It's a fact and you don't want to you can't handle the facts. And that's what it is.
No, but I know there's plenty of artists who say, hey, I have to do this for my fans. I know they're paying good money. They want to come have a good time. They deserve for me to come on the stage at a certain time, give them a good show and go home. Like I've heard this from several great artists. And those are the people who don't have to put out an album.
That's right.
I just remember Jill Scott at Essence Fest. She hadn't put out an album in years. We were still listening to all the volumes.
Yes,
we were still listening to, I think she may have put out like one of her.
Yep, we listen to all that.
She dropped that Golden. Not that no, that wasn't an album. I'm seeing the album cover where she's like red shirt, high heels. She's lost all the weight with Anthony Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
I just remember when she hit the stage, the crowd in the Superdome went crazy. Like she didn't sing nothing. She didn't say nothing. She didn't even say good evening, New Orleans. She didn't say nothing. The crowd was so ready to hear her, and she looked great. We were just happy she was back, right? And so she's never like. And I've also seen Jill where she was so drunk, somebody had to carry her off the stage at Essence. But she's always given a great show.
Right? Always gonna give a show.
You can tell she has rehearsed. She does not give the same show every time. She's going to give you 5 different remixes to Golden. She's going to give you 5 different remixes to Walk. Let's Take a Long Walk.
Right.
She is so professional. And so for Lauryn to sit in my face and say the media said,
no, baby.
Now when I almost passed out waiting on you. No, I'm not.
But here's the thing, Pras needs this money.
He do. And it's a little mid-diss tape. If y'all have a little bit of time, go listen to Pras diss track on Lauryn Hill that was put out this week. It's a little weak. The beat is great. It's sweet, but he was in his feelings.
But I think rightfully so. I think the Fugees could have gone a lot further. Should have gone a lot further.
It's
and
attitudes and ego.
with his legal issues and troubles, he needs this money. So yeah, he in his feelings.
Yeah, we respected this track.
Yeah.
Speaking of groups,
yes.
if you've now, if you ask me like one song Young Thug has done, if you play it for me, I'm going to say, oh, that's Young Thug. I don't have any of his music saved. He might be on somebody.
I don't.
Like he might be like guests on a song on my playlist. I'm thinking about it's the dumbest song, but the beat caught me. I can't think of it's during the mumble rap phase of Atlanta. Right. Yeah. I think I have a lot of his songs, but not his songs, but he featured. I just remember his album cover, just like Little Bo Peep. It was a magazine cover. So Young Thug.
And listen, I'm too old to even, if I've heard him, honey, I didn't know it. But when I tell you one thing,
it's provided endless entertainment.
The YSL trial has been the gift that keeps on giving and giving.
So for the people out there who are probably my age and older, we do have some college listeners. I do want to acknowledge them. Okay.
Yes.
But I think the median age is probably like 30 to 55 of our listeners so far. If you value your time, I know you probably don't know so much about this, but we're going to explain it just so you can have some conversation in your next gathering, right? So YSL is it's a record label. I could say it's a rap group.
I guess. Yeah.
Group of friends. Everybody is YSL somebody. Mm-hmm. So there's YSL Woody. There's YSL somebody, just like the ASAP group, like ASAP right. who has finally gotten Rihanna to settle down. There's ASAP Rocky, ASAP Ferg, similar, just different coasts. One's in New York, one's in Atlanta. However, well, ASAP, they kind of got in trouble too. But this group of gentlemen have mixed street and rap, probably fiction and rap, because I don't think they lived any of these lives that they rap about. I don't think they're that dumb to actually commit a crime and rap about it. I think they are creatives where art is imitating life, probably imitating art.
Right. I think really what it boils down to is that even if that the art is mimicking life so well, and that sometimes, yeah, I could create a whole story and you could say, oh, I know who that is. No, you don't. I just made this up. It may be just so, and so they're on trial for racketeering and criminal conspiracies and all that down in Atlanta, and it's been going on for almost over a year.
No, 2 years.
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
They had to remove judges for ex parte conversations with prosecutors, but the star, it's really young Thug. Like I said,
he is the like. If it was the real business, he would be the CEO of YSL.
Right.
If it's truly a gang, he would be the gang leader. Yeah. And if he's truly a rapper, he would be the lead.
The leader. But he's not the star of the trial. He's never been the star of the trial. The star.
We got to give a little bit more context. So the same person, the same young lady who's doing Trump's trial is not a racketeering trial. The Atlanta GA, I cannot think of her name right now. What is her name?
Fannie? You know what, Fannie?
Yeah, she's the GA on both. She orchestrated both cases.
Yeah, but she's not a prosecutor in this particular
She's
trial.
not, but
Yeah,
she
but she is the
started the
yeah,
wheels in motion.
yeah,
She's building her career on these really big racketeering conspiracy cases.
yeah.
Trump was one,
Yeah, but the
the
same.
YSL was the other. And I'm very sad. I wish Trump would have that Trump case if she those little moves that she did or did not make. Yes, that's
Mhm.
another conversation. So Young Thug has been on trial for murder, drug dealing, and all of these things based on lyrics in his songs, which are nothing is. So they literally listened to his music, pulled it out, used as evidence to indict and charge him with murders. Which is funny because music is music, and sometimes it is not real. It's creation, it's imagination. Um, I'm also laughing. Just be yourself and rap. Like, just be yourself. If you if Young Thug really meant truly humble under God, then put on your church tie and be a youth pastor. Like, don't be in the street pretending.
Right.
Now you in court trying to trying to say none of this is real. You fighting for your life, so now you are willing to throw all the street stuff away.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's even to the point where the judge has to say, listen, you only have like 5 wardrobe choices per day per defendant, because they were bringing in like 20 outfits and all that. Come on.
Is this the same judge that brought his dog, his emotional
No,
support
no,
dog to
that
court?
was that judge is the one that just got removed. This is the new judge that
So
says y'all.
this trial has had 3 judges,
Mhm.
and it feels like this is an episode of Night Court.
Yeah.
Remember Night Court with Bull
Yep. Dun, 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 dun. Yep.
and Marshall Wharf? It
Dun,
feels like an episode of Night Court because the number of characters who have been on here and the things that have happened is entertaining and funny. And it really should be a mistrial. I really do feel bad for Young Thug. Go back to doing what you do, and hopefully you change your life or live a more authentic life. Because this life obviously ain't for you.
Well, I also think that it's ridiculous to try to put someone on trial for their lyrics. That you can't you just simply it's a dangerous slope to go down. Do it's like somebody when they somebody sued Red Bull for their ad campaign. You have wings, and it's like, well, I didn't grow wings, and it didn't do. It's not literal. You can't. It's art. I don't. I don't believe that Robert Frost. Maybe he stood in the woods and looked at one side and the other, but he can't fault the woods for not having the path. Like I don't. I don't. You know. It's just. It was just a reach to begin with. And then of course their star witness for the prosecution.
Somebody
Um,
tell Woody.
YSL Woody. Oh my God! When we first met our hero, um, he looked disheveled. He was like, they'd ask him questions like, "Do you know what a snitch is?" And he was like, "No, I've never heard that word before." It just kept on going. So now that they've had to take a hiatus because they had to go into recess because they had to get a new judge and blah blah. So he's up. Baby Woody's gotten a haircut. He got some new clothes. He got a good night's sleep. He has told his people, "I don't recall nothing. I lied." He said, "Let me tell you, this is how I finesse the police. You give them a little bit of lie and a little bit of this, and you put it together. Because y'all kept asking me and putting me in isolation. They got feces on the wall." These are literal direct quotes. Feces on the wall. And so, then it's not going to go the way you want. You spend all these time, all these resources on something that had no honest premise in the first place. You
Yeah.
may know a thing, you may think a thing, but if you can't prove a thing and you can't prove it with the First Amendment,
No.
you can't. You simply cannot. And unless you don't have any direct evidence. if you did, you would he would either be in jail or he'd be gone. Like it's dragging this out to the point where his attorney has even had to spend some time in jail. Like, come on, people. Come
on. Do yourself a favor and Google Young Thug YSL member acting crazy in court so he could plead insanity. Google it and you have the best laugh ever, like a hearty from your stomach laugh. Like it was like they was like, "Sir, we can see through this," and he's still ticking.
And I have joked that if I ever have to go, that's what I'm gonna do. Baby,
But yours should be a little bit like. But it was not at all. Like this trial is a waste. I don't pay taxes in Atlanta. I feel like it's wasting my tax money.
Right.
It's definitely taking attention off of real things, of people going missing, people who are really killing people. The police city that's being built of how to train, how to beat citizens.
Right.
All that attention is taken away from this, and it's one, don't lie. Be authentic.
Right.
Now, if you was really on stand for killing somebody, that's all. That like you're dumb enough to put that in a lyric, which has happened in other cities, not this case. I'm ready for it to go, but not really, because it is what is happening in the Young Thug trial today. It is better than the OJ trial when we used to run home after school to watch it.
It's similar. It really is. It really is similar. It really is similar. It is captured. But what it shows you, leadership with the judge, clearly non-existent. It demonstrates
which judge. That's the point. Leadership.
the one that was just removed for knowingly violating communication with the prosecutor and witnesses. For whatever reason, you have to be impartial. And someone asked me, what is it? What is your leadership style? What I if I can't do it for one, I can't do it for another. And you may have favorites in your classes, you may have ones that you are closer to than others, but it doesn't mean that I can't pull a string for one that I wouldn't pull for all of them. Or for any reason, or pull, I'm not an advocate of pulling strings anyway. But you want to give them all the same opportunity, and that's what you have to do as a leader. I can't do for one what I can't do for them all. And make available to all. And so that's a leadership lesson in this trial. The other leadership lesson in this trial, I think, for me, is just as some of our leaders in higher ed do. When you see the train wreck is coming and it's not getting any better, baby, get off. Pull the thing. Pull it. Stop. Break. Pull the emergency brake, because you are wasting time trying to force that this is the right thing to do when you know it's not. It's clear you're not winning. You're not going to win. You do not have you're wasting money, spinning wheels. When something isn't working, stop. Yeah. Breathe. Pivot. They knew in year one that this trial was not going to go the way it should be going.
Yeah. Because I've never heard of any tangible evidence, no bodies, no guns, no nothing.
Even asking Woody, because I watched this particular clip, even asking him about a particular song, and it doesn't make sense to ask me about a whole song. You've got to ask about specific lyrics. You all are going off the rails. As we do in education, we have a program, we have a method, we have a this and a that. And when we know it's not working, take the ownership. It's not working. Humble yourself and say, okay, listen, let's stop this for right now. Let's pivot. I think the idea is good. However, we don't have the evidence. We don't have the resources. We don't have the talent to kind of push this forward. So we're going to take a step back. It's not working the way we thought it was going to work. Be strong enough to say that. And I think that's a lesson for the prosecutor. Then it's a lesson, as you said, for the whole wide set. Y'all just be yourselves. You all know your junior deacons. Leave it alone.
Truly humble under God.
Humble yourselves and say, hey, we were lying. We are not gangsters. Right.
Yeah.
Don't make me quote the Mac. You ain't no pimp. You just the best haven.
If y'all didn't know, Dr. Jackson got her PhD in pimpology. Literally, I'm not lying, not making that up at all.
I like to say that, but my dissertation and my work covers pop culture and the work of Iceberg Slim, Donald Goines, and the Bishop Don Magic Wand, who I hope to interview one day, hopefully. But yes, I've watched the Mac way too many times. I can quote it chapter and verse. Yes. Okay.
So moving from Atlanta to Detroit, this is a late addition to our notes because it actually happened this morning. A story that I heard this morning, but all week, and this really actually ties into our student success segment. A Detroit judge, Kenneth King, forced a 16-year-old teen girl to wear a jail uniform and handcuffs after she fell asleep during a courtroom field trip. She was not a criminal. She was not before a real judge. I mean, a real trial, anything. The judge threatened her with jail time for contempt of court due to her attitude and made her peers vote on whether she should get jail time. The incident, criticized by the nonprofit organization organizing the trip, has been described as traumatizing for the teen. And the judge actually defended his actions, y'all. Talking about he felt disrespected.
Ego.
So that's the news. That's the newscaster form. So this black judge
black judge
forced a 60-year-old black girl who was on a field trip in handcuffs and a uniform because she fell asleep in his courtroom after a 45-minute lecture from him.
Yeah.
So this is today's Friday. This must have been reported like Tuesday, like early in the week. Charlemagne the God gave him donkey of the day. I didn't see that donkey of the day. So I'm like, okay, that was wrong. After hearing that was wrong. It was a field trip. You respect ego, right? This morning, I saw the mom tell the side. She's crying. She's a single mom. I'm not sure how many other kids. Maybe 3 kids, 2 kids. And she said, seeing my child like that sickened me. And I feel like it's my fault because I'm doing the best I can as a single mom, and we're in between homes right now. And my daughter does not have a bed of her own to sleep in every night. She is tired because of this. But she's a good kid. She's a good student. She volunteers. She happens to volunteer with like I don't want to say recycle, but a green organization where they plant trees. And she's like, I see her tired, but she still gets up in the morning to volunteer with this organization. That's her joy. And so just from those words, she's painting a picture. Like it was sincere. It wasn't like, mamas, we know. My baby killed him. Like it was not that. It was not that at all. Right. And so I think my heart went out because we've all known students like this, where we knew something wasn't right. And we've had to take, again, this is a podcast with a human, from a perspective with a human lens. What was the humanity? It was a field trip, dude. Even if she was a criminal, it still didn't have any right. What if she was a type 1 diabetic?
Or had sickle cell.
or she was on her cycle and she's like, all of these are issues students have and have to muster through it.
Right. But there are several things here. In particular, in this case in particular for me, and you're absolutely right. But what chaperone let that judge? First of all, you say, hey, judge, you can't do that. We can't do that. I'm sorry. Let me take her out, but you can't do that. So the moment that chaperone failed in their duty to protect, you knew this was wrong, right? You were supposed to say, now he can jail you, but there would be no way I would let somebody put one of my children in handcuffs and some whole new clothes
without me going to jail too.
Oh, then we all going to jail today. No. Judge, you can't do that. We can't do that. I literally, in working with high school students, wanted to show, I was doing a sort of film class and wanted to show the opening scene of The Godfather and the look of horror. I said, we just talking the opening scene. It's just gonna be done with the cat in the red rose. I just want them to see color and picture. And that's the best scene, the way he pulls back. But the heart said, we're not going any further. I'm not showing anything else past that, right? That opening scene with the immigrant and the Don. Because when you're talking about minor children, first of all, I mean, but that chaperone, whoever walked those children in, was supposed to say, no, you need to stop. I'm going to take her out and then we can go on, but we can't do this. This was not a teachable moment. This was a humanity moment.
Yeah. And I pray that the trauma, she can get through the trauma. Also pray that Ben Crump, somebody, will sue this judge for mental anguish. Is that the right term? Mental anguish,
emotional distress, and mental anguish,
all of it.
Yeah,
and y'all gonna have a good house.
And I think also, but I want the judge to really understand that in your ego tripping, you've done irreparable harm to yourself.
And you know what else he said?
What?
I would like to mentor. I would like to mentor her.
Oh, no, you do not. No, you do not. Not to mentor. Not to mentor. Not to you don't want to mentor. No, you don't. Because see, you thought you knew who she was. I had a student right before right before COVID and right after when we came back. He's from New Orleans, actually. But he was taking care of everybody. He's trying to be in school, and he's taking care. His mom had COVID. His grandmama had COVID. He had a fiance. He was trying to pay the bills, and there were some assignments he couldn't get to. He didn't have life. He was living off campus. He had been in school he was about to be a super senior, trying to get him out. And I would say, okay, listen, that's a lot. Let's take a breath. Can you do this part? Don't worry about this part. I need to show evidence of this, right? Because I knew trying to work full time, send money home, take care of his home, be a loving, boyfriend, spouse. He was trying to do the man things that we adult our children very early. So they have this adultification, and he's trying to do it all. And somebody had to say, "Let me help you." So if I'm a professor, judge, I'm in charge, and I see a kid sleeping, yes, immediately go, okay, well, it's me. Maybe I'm boring, right? But that's not the case. You felt disrespected. How many times do we have to hear these young kids? They disrespected me. You sound like a kid, dude. And maybe you need to take a beat at this point because
She didn't curse him out. She was simply asleep.
she was tired. I remember, I love teaching at an institution sometimes where we have the band. I have to think about the band because I have my nieces in the band. My husband was in the band. I was a musician at one point. Didn't do it in college, but I know how hard freshman band players have it. They got to learn the music, the choreography. They're up all night. They got sections. They're trying to navigate, especially if they're in advanced classes. They're trying to navigate all these things. I had two of them. I look over, and I know I'm not boring. They're knocked out. They're knocked out, and they, and I would either touch them if they didn't wake up, and I could tell, and they would just be trying. They would be trying. Um, And sometimes I let them sleep because I knew it would be the only time they could.
Yeah.
And they would always, and I wake them up and they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I promise you, I never, when their assignments are due at 11:59, and I know that they didn't get out of band rehearsal until 11, they couldn't do it. I accepted it. I got a lot of people. Oh, well, that's what they chose. We can have the spirit of the law, you can have the letter of the law, and yes, you want to teach them that rules matter, decorum matters, um, all of those things, all of the stringent things to get through life. But the one thing we always have to teach them and be mindful of is that we have to teach them that humanity matters, empathy matters, forgiveness matters more than any of the other stuff. Especially when here's a kid, she's on a field trip. You think she came on this field trip to fall asleep?
No.
But I'm telling you, more than the ego of being a judge, whoever took her to that field trip should be the one in jail right now. Because I'd be damned. Excuse my
Yeah.
language, my people, but I'd be damned if somebody was going to take one of my children and put them in handcuffs on a new outfit over their clothes. I don't know what that stuff. Baby, that was not done in tide cold water or drift. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
This is crazy. Along the same lines, and those of you who are not, I haven't talked about my work, I don't think, on any of these episodes, but I've always been in academic support, but tutoring, I've always wanted to go beyond. Like, it's just not tutoring. Students need more. Even my dissertation was seeking around that. What is more? What more can we help students with? Because just saying, oh, just go to tutoring or just do this isn't helping. And so along this path has gone from, okay, what are some other supports? We need more learning strategies, not just tutoring. We need to change instructional things. We need to change how we talk to them and instructions, and how we present services to them, and what does freshman seminar look like? What does welcome week? Like, all the pieces, like, can we examine all of these things?
Right.
And not make it I don't want to say stereotypical, but not make it to where people who go to tutoring are slow or need help, like, not isolate, but saying, hey, everybody have needs. All of these resources are to support you to be successful. Like, that's my thing. And so my last position was executive director of a nonprofit where we were working with colleges to help provide them this very specialized coaching, but it was really based on trauma. But as you know, trauma can come from a lot of different things.
Right.
Violence, being in a community that's under resourced, being families that's under resourced, not having enough food, not having anything. And so just putting it from that lens and having that empathy first, but empowering them to push through was something very special to me. I thought that was like I would love to do this work. So there's a lot of it's not where it should be, but there's more talk. I even went to do some lobbying on in DC this past June, and I was the only higher ed person in the room when the White House liaison talked. She's like, what's top of our mind is food insecurity and basic need support of college students. And I felt really great that while we were like, she was like, this of all the things, this is top of our mind. So it's coming up, but it's not where it needs to be. Right. But along the lines of the judge judging a kid who hasn't, like, he didn't ask any questions. He didn't even give her the benefit of the doubt. He just went straight to she's no good and she's going to be in jail one day simply because she's sleeping. So increased financial aid. There's a story that came out and inside higher ed, and increased financial aid correlates with demand for wraparound services. I hate this word. I don't know why. Maybe it came from a person I didn't like. She just kept saying it. And I was like, do you even know what this means? And stop saying it. Please, just shut up. I hate this word. It's not their fault. But a new survey from New Mexico shows that nearly 60% of students are food insecure. This means that they don't have enough to eat. They're rationing. On the national level, 23% of undergraduates and 12% of graduate students experience food insecurity, according to a 2023 release from Department of Ed. And 8% and 5% of the same group, so it's 8% of undergrads and 5% of grad students are homeless. So there's not like they're sleeping in the street. They may be sleeping in the car, they may be couch surfing, but they don't have a permanent address that they feel safe. So when I'm have to go and do when I had to go and do fundraising for this type of service, I had to ask politely from men who can't even phantom this. Some white men had hearts to understand it, but some people just couldn't get it. And so when I had to sit and write and explain it for case for support, things like that, one thing stuck out. Like, these students have to choose between living and learning.
That's right.
If it has to come, we're always going to self-preserve. And so some students can fight and say, this is preserving myself to fight to get a degree to get out of the situation. Some students, but even in the midst of that, if you're rationing food, if you're working late at night, the biology person in me knows your body can't need sleep, food, support is that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is why we name this podcast Allegedly Higher, is because we teach in a higher ed leadership course. That's probably the first thing you're going to get. Student affairs professionals, that's what you know. Like, you're going to get this piece. However, the entire institution, our university and colleges itself, don't understand that they have to be in the same business of providing understanding, implementing hierarchy of needs. They just said, well, I don't understand. So this is what I would get. Oh, I don't understand. They're getting financial aid. Sir, financial aid covers tuition. That's not room and board. Sometimes, depending on where you get access to, that's not room and board. So what happens is that,
excuse me, I hate to cut you out. And Title III doesn't pay for events with food.
No.
So when you're trying
to be a change,
there should be a change.
Yeah. So by the time I put my financial aid is there. Financial aid has not increased with inflation over the years. My parents are low income, even middle can't readily come up with the gap in tuition, which is probably $500 to $2,500 a semester. They don't have that. They don't even have emergency funds for that. It's called the working poor for a reason. So we're going to take some of our savings, apply it. You're working. You're trying to buy gas, bus passes, transportation, clothes, supplies.
Mhm.
You're trying to stretch $50.
Right.
Your refund is late. You can't stay on campus because you need to save money. Like all of these things, and you're trying to move up. You're bound to be hungry and homeless and tired at some point because you're expending all of your energy, problem solving, critical thinking skills on just living.
Right.
I can't think about why x plus y to the second power
Mhm.
equals. I can't think about that right now. The time I sit down in class in a cold environment, either my sugar is low, I haven't eaten, I skipped breakfast, I was in traffic.
Mhm.
This is the first time I'm sitting down in
Right.
peace.
Right. I
So,
think I watched one of the Jackson Film Festival short film documentaries was about food apartheid in
yeah.
Jackson, and so we have not just when you're talking about you have food insecurities as a result of food apartheid because they
Mhm.
can't because the grocery stores and fresh fruits and vegetables are one not accessible, right? You got to have a car. If you don't have a car, you can't go to a good grocery store, or they're priced out because the
Yeah.
smaller grocery stores can't buy in the bulk that the larger chains can. So and that lends itself to what I say one of the top issues of college students' success is mental health, which is a result of the food apartheid that they've grown up in and food insecurities. So when I think about the nearest grocery store to my institution, which is about down a highway or it's so far it's not walking distance. It's not, and so the people who live in that area, it's the same thing. They're living in a food apartheid.
Yeah. And same thing. Same thing on college campuses.
Yeah.
You remember that time, the place we worked, we bought in a vegan
Yes.
guest speaker,
Yes.
and I couldn't find one solid whole piece of fruit on the campus to save my life. And he
Yeah.
was looking at the peas and the beans, and his stomach was like, and I was like, sir,
You can't eat that because it's made with all the things that you can't
pretty
eat.
sure there's a lot of pig in that.
Yeah. Yeah. We couldn't.
Um,
We had to house him in Lexington, so far enough away that he could have
and
apple.
we ate at the same place 2 days because it was the only farm to table restaurant where we knew he's good eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think so for the people who are listening, um if you're a student, whether you're student facing in the classroom, if you're faculty, advisor, especially the student success professionals, if you're looking to be a VP of student success or student affairs, this is not the time to like silo. This is the time you have to figure out a system
Hmm.
and a way to gauge what's going on your campus, whether it's the entry survey, whether it's advisors asking questions. I just came from my annual checkup and I
Hmm.
had to answer the same questions twice. I did a digital check-in where they're asking, have you been able to sleep
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
the past 6 months? Were you missing? Have you not been able to pay your rent or mortgage? I knew the questions. They were trying to judge whether they were trying to judge whether they need to offer extra care or not. They asked me about my transportation. Are you going to have difficulty coming to your appointment? They asked me the same questions in person, the check-in. Can you read this? Do you have trouble understanding medical things? You often have to ask people to help you understand. If there's even a little survey like that, if you can tell that 30% of your freshman class, which is really where you need to catch it, if you
Hmm.
can tell that 30% of your freshman classes come from, that they're Pell eligible
Hmm.
off the bat, that's a thing. But then you need to ask more questions to make sure Do you have a place to live?
Right.
Even if you are staying on campus, do you even have food in your little refrigerator?
Mhm.
And even talk to campus staff, what time does the dining hall close?
Right.
Like, just different, like, you have to remember when you were a college student, yes, we made do, we
Yeah.
had to.
But things didn't cost as much, and I think also when you're talking about colleges, student success, um, reach out to those local churches,
Food
uh,
banks.
food banks, but also, we celebrate our graduates on Baccalaureate Sunday. Yay, wear your cap and gown. We love you, and we bought some stuff for your dorm room, and then that's it. You,
Yeah.
you, so let
A
work with
little
your local.
$25
Oh
goes
my goodness,
a long way. Like, that's gas.
right.
That's that's a couple of groceries. The other part is making sure doing more education on SNAP. That was an initiative that we did at the nonprofit, which is also what I brought up to the White House liaison when she asked me about what can we do about college students' basic needs. I said, how about not having to prove that you're poor 55,000 times? I'm poor on the FAFSA. Now I'm too embarrassed to go get SNAP. I don't know if I'm gonna get SNAP because maybe my SNAP at home is gonna get cut off. Maybe I'm not, I can't say that I'm section, I didn't even know Section 8 might even be available to me. Like, why aren't all of these government services packaged in a way on the FAFSA? I
Mhm.
know I mispronounce that all the time.
It is. It's awesome.
Did I say it?
Yeah, you
Okay.
said it right.
I have to correct myself because sometimes I'm a little country.
We have a excuse me, Dr. Wheeler, we have a guest.
Dice, leave us alone.
Come here. Come here.
We are recording.
I know. I know. Say hi to the people. But if you don't want him barking, all right. I'm sorry.
Lord.
I'm sorry. It's the only, child
No,
you gave me.
her animals are always so pushy.
I know. And spoiled.
If we don't, like, why can't all of these services be on
Right.
one thing, and
Mhm.
therefore they don't have to be embarrassed or ask, and they just know, well, it's something that they offer. I need it.
Right.
Making sure your campus pantries are stocked. Make sure they're stocked with fresh food.
Make sure you
Like,
have
make sure you have one. Making sure that you know all the local resources, how to help, and not send the student on a round robin trying to find things. And when they get to one place, oh, they don't have it. 9 times out of 10, they're scared to apply for it. So take 10 minutes of your time to help them apply, to make sure they feel support. All of these things go into making sure students have basic needs, but institutions have to be intentional about finding out who's on the campus, what do they need before it happens, and not blame them for not being successful. Now, I worked at LSU. I will name that institution. Some institutions we worked at we won't name. Some
right.
institutions we will. Well, the gamut of students is the mixture, but on the open up, you gotta be able to afford LSU, right? So I
Right.
did have this kid. Um, his need was probably just a little mental health though, but
Mhm.
he came in my office straight failing. I was
Oh,
that's Tignan and Dice. I came into straight failing all of his classes. I'm an academic coach. I don't talk about grades first. I talk about everything else except the last 10 minutes of our
mhm.
conversation will be about grades in your classes, because I know there's things that happen on the outside that prevent you from being successful in class. So we go through his whole day. I said,
Right.
all right, 9 o'clock, what you got? I have this class. So we put all his classes down. He had a 9 o'clock class, a 1 o'clock class. He had on Tuesday, Thursday, he had a 10 o'clock class and a 3 o'clock class. Maybe on Friday he might have had two. I don't know, but it was gaps. I said, okay, let's fill in the gaps. You do work study? Do you work anywhere? Oh no, I don't work. You have like a research? Do you do research? Volunteer?
Do you do anything?
Do you? I was. What? So tell me do you do during this time? Paint a picture for me. Well, what do you do after class? I go back inside and I play my game. I said, how long do you play your game for? He says, till I go back to class. He came in and said, I don't have time to study. Now you have those students.
Yeah, yeah.
You do.
Yeah, yeah.
But oftentimes the students who want to push through, they literally don't have time. They don't have the time, the energy, and the resources to just be a student.
I had a student once who was 22 and she had a child for every year she had been out of her. So she had one at 18, 19, 20, 21, and she had just had the fifth. She said to me, now that's a whole nother topic, right? But she said to me, she said, if I was like some of my classmates, there's no telling what I would be doing.
Yeah.
In terms of time, because she didn't have time.
Yeah.
Didn't have, and she had some other issues, of course, clearly, but they don't realize how to maximize their time. They don't have, and of course, like you say, you have one. He played that game. Y'all leave them that.
You don't have time, sir. I really want to say, get out of my office, please. Get out of my face. Go away from me with this Apollo.
Go away. But you run these that they don't know how to maximize their time. Or one of my favorite comedians, Lewis Black. And for those of you who stay with us, you'll know I love comedy, I love film, and I always make a reference. He said when he was in college, he took economics at like 8:00 in the morning. So one day he went to the professor and he said, "Are you trying to keep this a secret? Why are you teaching this at 8:00 in the morning?" You have to know your schedule. You have to know who you are. Are you a morning person? Do you do mid-afternoons very well? Like, what do you, there's certain classes that I would never schedule in the evening because I knew after lunch that was going to be it. Or if I had to schedule them in the evening or in that mid-afternoon right after lunch, I kind of knew how to ease them into the work. Yeah. But it's so much in terms. I don't know why it's not a part of the financial aid package that every college student gets a certain number of. Just the card should come in the mail. Like, why are you making them reapply? Again, the question of how many times do you want me to live in my poverty?
Yeah. Even rethinking campus meal plans.
Yeah.
I never was able to eat as much as I could because I was a STEM major in classes all day. So I had to end up either there was only so much money you could have that wasn't, cafeteria meals. So you only get so many, I don't know what they were called. Oh, they were called Lions. Was it Lions Lanyap? I don't know. It was the extra money, cash money. You can go and buy stuff out the bookstore that your parents can reload, whatever. It's like the cash. But I mean, the price of stuff on campus,
right?
I was gone. So I was eating, I was trying to be health conscious. So I was, I have always been who I've always been, Candice.
I know.
So I've always had granola bars and healthy stuff. I didn't do a whole lot of so I had to figure it out. I was eating lean cuisines at 19.
Oh, bless you. But I think when colleges and universities start talking about, we want night classes, we want to be open and available. But see, everybody who makes those decisions go home at 5:00.
Yeah, and you don't let people have flex time. So
right.
morning people like night people like me
and me, yes. And so the fact that you have you want your campus open till 9:00, but everything shuts down at 5:30. including business offices, the financial aid, the all the things that your night students and your
Yeah.
commuters may need. They
So
can't get this
maybe one food place
after-
open.
right. One, but we must rethink the sort of, even if you do a limited menu and leave the cafeteria open,
Or
um,
to
or to
go and scan.
something, because sometimes whether it's a community, if it's an open campus, or people who are taking classes at night, they have not eaten because they're rushing from work at 5 themselves in traffic, get their kids, do whatever they need to do, and then they have to come rush there for a 6 o'clock class that's going to meet for 3 hours or an
Yeah.
hour and a half. They need options. They need breaks. They need an option. And that's what we're talking about: student success and real student support and substantive change.
Yeah.
Don't
And it
don't
starts
put
with
somewhere
caring
yeah,
first.
right. And that's again, just as we go back to the lessons of this whole judge debacle in Detroit. And I know we have some listeners from Detroit. So, we want all of our children to learn empathy and humanity and have someone care for them.
Because they grow up to be bosses without it.
They
Because
grow up
well,
they grow up to put little girls in handcuffs and jail outfits. That's what they grow up to
because
do.
I couldn't go to sleep. I ain't nobody let me go to sleep when I was tired.
Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Who hurt you, sir? Who
I
hurt you?
had to push through. I worked all night. Why you I missed a lot of my baby's softball games.
And so when
Good for you, sir.
that
Good for
this
you.
is
And
like
your
this
kid
is
that
like
don't
a
talk to
living.
you right now.
And that's when I'm asking, when I hear colleagues say things like that, I want to ask the question: who hurt you? You know it didn't feel good. Why do you want to?
How is that working for you now?
It,
You miserable. You're
right.
divorced. You're angry. Your kids
Still,
can't stand you.
they
Like
have gone no contact, limited contact for years.
you want us to be just as disgusted as you. You want us misery loves company. I
Right. That's
unsubscribe
the
for
way
that
it goes.
from that.
But I think that's a good segue into our next news segment. Florida A&M and interim president. What are your thoughts, Dr. Wheeler?
Do we have another? This is we're gonna have to do part two of this.
But we've got to talk about this one.
This okay, we're gonna do this and then we're gonna save the rest for later.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we got to do that.
I mean, it's always turnover.
Yeah, but this was a good one. This was a good one. Yeah, got to talk about this. And a follow up to our story about the fake gift and at Florida A&M, a new president an interim president has been named. This is a real story. So that he asked for the resignation of all of the VPs associated with that administration, with the previous administration, and he wanted it by 5 o'clock. And he was kind enough to give them a template of what to say.
Been there.
Been there, done that. So here's the thing, and when you know something is askew, something is going askew in your administrative role, and a new president comes in, especially when there's been a scandal. Why aren't y'all already looking? Like, I don't know how you thought you were gonna get. I knew that.
Everybody don't. So okay, are you blaming the whole cabinet?
Well, here's the thing.
Student affairs.
Nobody around that table said
I get advancement needs to go.
advancement, but I think this is a way to restore faith in the administrative level. I think some of them might be higher back. Some of them, I don't know if it means that all of
At
them have
one
to go.
time, though. Well, it's not
I
everybody
think,
didn't go.
right. I think definitely, I honestly would say, of course, advancement would have to go. Student affairs is probably out of it, but everybody sat around that table when that was presented before commencement. If that's the way it went, that you go, okay, yeah, we got some good news, and this is what's happening, and blah blah blah. That you sit around the table in the cabinet meeting and you share it because you're proud, and nobody said, excuse me, hello, hello, hello. If y'all look for him, like a Google search would have found him.
Or
I
not.
or not maybe, but still, I don't know. We
So the
know that
athletic
every new
directors,
president is going to bring in their own provosts, their own,
yeah,
their own VPs and such. I have a problem with that practice, honestly.
clean
For
house of the whole cabinet at
Yeah,
once.
I have a problem with that practice. However, some people were, I noticed one comment on IG was he should have waited for the regular president, the named president to come in. This was a board directive. This is not, no interim president can make these kinds of um changes and request of executive leadership without the direction of the board. The
Yeah,
board cannot fire the VPs. Only the president can do that.
yeah,
And so that's what I think people don't understand about the hierarchies of the board has only one employee, and that is the president. So the board can't come in and clear out the vice president. That is against the best practices and the gold standard for higher ed leadership. So what they did was they hired the interim and gave him a directive to get rid of everyone on that executive leadership team, because if they knew and didn't say anything, or no one on that cabinet said something, that's a toss up. I mean, we know that was that had to have been a directive from the board.
yeah, yeah. Even the athletic director, I mean, but I think that there was something else that was going on
I
there
I
with
think
the football. It's a football coach, basketball coach. They had a story a while ago with he started working before his contract and getting rid of students and stuff like that. So I don't know if that was it was just time to clear house. But I'm like, dang, even athletic director, the
what I
provost is still there.
yeah, but what I do think is, what I can appreciate, even though he had that directive, it seemed as though he at least tried to do that with some humanity. Because what you understand, and even though I'm against the practice of doing that immediately, because your provost may be a good one, it's just not the one, it's just the one that came in, before you, or any of your VPs, is that you get to know who they are, right?
Yeah.
So I'm against that practice wholesale. But in a scandal like this, I do understand it. But what I can appreciate is that he really tried to do that with some kind of empathy and humanity. To do. We have both been given that directive, right? Well, I have.
Yeah.
And with a list of stuff to do, and then and if it's not done by 5 o'clock on this date, I consider that your resignation, sir. What? Ma'am? Okay. And the thing about it is, and when they got it, I'm looking at the binders on the floor of the office, and he's like, "Oh no, I make everybody do that when I come in." I didn't read that. What you so the tizzy in which everyone was in, they're trying to do this good job, and I frankly at that point said, I'm out. You know, I had people so upset when they were like, "Can you see our jobs are posted?" Yes, I knew that. I knew that they would be. But they were, but I like the fact that he at least tried to be helpful and give them a template and thank them for their service.
I mean, having four supervisors, as in four different provosts, and I even had a vice chancellor because I was moved over student affairs for 6 months. So 5 direct supervisors in 2 years.
Yeah.
My question is, how much did you tear this up before the fall semester? Do you have interims already? Like, are they going to be? Did he have a date for when they need to resign? Did he give them 30 to get the house in order?
That day, the
That
13th.
day. Like, did you have like what's the plan for some stability in all of this moving immediate moving pieces. I hope he had a lot of conversation
Right.
with students and staff and faculty. I think he did. I did see a faculty conversation with him talking to faculty. But the shakeup, I like that's where my head goes with today, like the foundation and advancement is gone. I get it. I get it. But everybody else,
been asked. She shouldn't have been. She should not. Well, I'm sorry. I'm saying
I don't
she.
think she did they ask or they just we just saw the story they had resigned.
I don't know if she was at, but no one should have had to ask her at this point. She shouldn't. I mean that's one of the things where you say, you know what, hey Chief, I'm out.
Where do you go from there in your career?
You take.
I mean, I do know we do hire.
Yeah,
you can't fill up. There's an opportunity for you to fill up for certain people.
Yeah,
but where do you go from there?
You regroup, just like presidents can leave an institution in financial ruin, and then they end up somewhere else. I mean, somebody will forgive you. You'll go and you'll do some consulting for a while. You'll write a few grants for some people, and then someone will say your penance is over, and then they'll take you back.
Shame.
Shame. We have a new listener out there in California who's a Lannister, so he'll appreciate that. That will, but that will be that'll be what happens, and that's what happens to all of them. It's a cycle once they get in there, because they're before the grace of God go, so they protect each other.
Yeah.
But crazy, I think, man. But I think we also need to do the internal work to say what made me not vet this properly.
We know what that was.
Yeah, but they have to do the
president had to steal his legacy. It was a legacy stealing.
He got one.
Yeah.
It's such as it is. But I think that once we do the internal work to say why did I feel that was a good idea? Why did I not vet that? Why did I not do my due diligence in that? Why did I abdicate my fiduciary responsibility to my institution? And that's the internal work that you have to do.
Yeah.
That I think is lacking when something like this happens, that we don't afford them that moment of grace. But they have to also want to do that work.
Yeah.
I think even when you get a no confidence vote or there's some issues, you're like, what was the issue? And I think for me, sometimes I probably should have released people to their destiny a long time ago. But for me, I was trying to create a safe space. Sometimes you can't. And even when because I don't like to make knee jerk reactions, and I recognize that people have lives. In some cases, you have to, and in this particular case, advancement should have resigned when the president resigned, if they hadn't already.
Yeah, I can't remember the sequence.
Just to keep that from being even, just do it all. You're not going to stay. No one's going to keep you right now. So you go and write some grants. You go and work as a lobby. You do whatever it is that you need to do. And then regroup, but also do some shadow work and some internal work as to why this is not working, why this happened.
Hey, yeah. I'm a leadership coach.
And Dr. Wheeler,
course correct.
It is a leadership.
I do think that is what's new. I hope they're seeking out good counsel after this. They can't come back, but it's just.
And it does take a moment. It does take a moment. First of all, you go through all the stages of grief.
Shame, embarrassment. I mean, nobody outside of higher ed is really checking for you, except probably Black higher ed, maybe Southern Black higher ed.
Yeah. But again, a year or two, she'll be forgiven, he'll be forgiven, and then everybody will move on, and you go, how did that happen? And so once they do, they'll go to a couple of seminars and
maybe we can have them on the podcast when when smoke
Sure.
clears.
Sure.
Yeah. A
You'll
sit
I,
down Joe King interview.
you'll leave me backstage. You'll leave me backstage. And
Why? You need to be involved.
with an approved list of questions. But okay. Yeah.
I mean, at that point,
I feel bad because one slippery slope decision changes the trajectory of your life. It's
moving
un-
fast,
yep.
under stress,
Hmm.
overworked, overwhelmed.
Right. I mean, it just go. You think about the time in which all of our information in our data breach because someone was afraid, so afraid of the president at the time that they succumbed to a phishing email and sent out all of our information, social security numbers, date of birth, names, dates, places, all of that. And it wasn't until they hit send that they realized that that was not an ask from the actual president because of the fear. So even that has layers. And of course she reported herself. She didn't They didn't force her to resign because she self-reported. But when you create that kind of culture of fear that people are under stress and those kinds of things happen, we also have to understand that as well. I don't know what kind of culture they had at FAMU, but this kind of mistake kind of highlights for me that there was a stress and a mandate and a sort of um, imbalance of thought
Yeah.
that we've got to do this, and the
And they
urgent.
could have just been excited. It would have been a life-changing gift.
It would have if it were
But
free.
for me, and it's sad to say, we do HBCUs have to fight for their life in terms of endowments and gifts.
Yep.
I would have questioned that on the mere fact.
I would have questioned the first time I had to get him a plane ticket and a hotel. I say what? I don't understand. Why am I getting you a hotel, sir?
Yeah. This is not a
That's
celebrity that we're trying to court that's going to perform
red
and then we're
flag.
going to try to court him or her to give us a few dollars after they
Right,
get off
right,
the stage.
right. And if that's like, so the red flags were there, people chose to ignore them. So what I see is a board trying to keep confidence in its leadership by changing the campus leadership.
And
So,
so you don't think the board has any implications either?
well, here's what we learned. I thought was that the board had no idea. It was supposed to be a surprise for the board at commencement.
Mhm.
They didn't know. Now that speaks to their relationship with the president that he thought he could do that because that's their employee.
Yeah, I would think any kind of that kind of major giving has a policy that has to go.
Probably does, but policy and practice
It's two
sometimes
totally
are
different things.
totally different things. And I think the level of surprise was the problem because I wanted this to be a surprise gift to everybody. You know, would have been a really nice surprise if he'd given every graduate their first money, give them all $100 a piece. But hey, you paying for him to stay somewhere, so and gave him an honor. I mean,
I
it's
knew
just
the key was that he was speaking and his mask was down here. I knew something was wrong, was not right. That picture that they always use, I was like, yeah, you had to know.
they
One, he was at the podium, so he was not around people, so the mask could have come off.
he didn't want his picture taken.
Exactly. And still, the mask was down here. So if you wanted a little bit more anonymity, you
You
can
know,
pull
but
that mask up.
I think we just have to be more mindful. Think it through Ask yourself, it's not like looking a gift horse in the mouth, but ask yourself some really hard questions.
But this is a leadership piece
Mm-hmm.
that's near and dear to my heart. If you create that kind of environment,
Yes.
where people are so tired and stressed and scared, they're not the brain, just like we told the students, we talked about the students needing safety, security,
Yes.
food, shelter. Those basic needs have to extend to your staff.
Right.
And when you run such a ship and a place where you don't inspire and you talk about, let's think fast and slow at the same time, let's communicate, let's be open to feedback, let's not act in silos, let's get other perspectives, let's talk about things, let's not keep things and sweep things under the rug. So I mean, sometimes you need to do that because the gossip gets out and ruins what you need to, the progress and momentum. But in your cabinet, in your leadership team, you have to create that culture where people are not afraid to think, like teach them how to think, how to ask the right questions, how to gain the right information, pull the trigger. Once the trigger is pulled, you say, this is what I did. This is why it didn't hit the target. This is why it was a little bit more left. This is why I need to kind of move my shoulder in, relax. Like, I never really shot a gun like that before, but you know what I'm saying? You need to be able to, you have to teach your team how to think under pressure, but not over stress, but give them some autonomy and space to be. And that was one of my non-negotiables for coming to the place.
Right.
Talk about it. That was one. I said, I have to be able to fail. Not like this.
Right.
I need to be able to low risk fail. I know what I'm doing. I need to be able to try to figure out what students am I working with? Does this land at this institution at this time with these things? I need to be able to do it, but it's a low risk fail. But you can't be breathing down my neck either, because then I'm gonna make some irrational decisions, and I'm gonna make mistakes and fail really, really bad. And I'm not even gonna be able to tell you how it failed. Now, I hope that before they left, they were debriefed and gave exit interviews. Well, the investigator, I think, in that whole report of the $15,000 that they invested, showed that. But I hope they take that report and everybody in that position and leadership there can learn from it.
Right. I think it's going to be a waste if they don't make this really a teachable moment and a leadership environment changing moment, a transformative moment. Because again, if you're so busy trying to fill this space of we gotta do this, we gotta do, and this urgency, if you're so busy trying to do the gotcha and the gotcha, and yay, look what we did, that you aren't able to see things clearly.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna tell you, bet you there was somebody who worked in accounts payable in the controller's office that said, now y'all know this don't sound right.
Did he even make it that far? Oh, the 15,000.
Right, whoever paid for that, like they said, we don't have money for such and such, but we got money for this. I'm telling you, somebody at the water cooler who said this doesn't make sense. Now, and that's what real understanding and engagement is about when you engage with the faculty and your staff. And something that you listen to them. They know where the bodies are buried. Literally, they're not, but allow people in the small things to feel like they can bounce ideas and
try and get some feedback. But one little routine, we don't know the culture. We're just but it just seems like one little quiet moment, a couple quiet moments at your desk. One quiet Saturday, because fundraising foundation, you always alumni this foundation here, blah, blah, blah. Some quiet moment would have said, it's not right.
Something is not.
Let me check. That gut feeling. Hey, can I talk to you? I think we're moving too fast on this. Are we really about to do X, Y, like those quiet moments where you
I've never had
a
a
meeting.
company.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just to
it's
check that gut feeling, because I know that they had to have a little bit of good.
mm-hmm.
A little bit of good. The second extension of the hotel stay.
So I love Deion Cole, right? I love the comedian Deion Cole. He's one. I think he's just a legend already. I love him. I love his work. So I follow him on TikTok. But everybody got a Deion Cole page, right? So all these Deion Cole pages started following me on TikTok. Somebody trying to act like he Deion, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I know it ain't. But how you doing today, beautiful? No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Like I know this is not Deion Cole, right? So these people who get caught up in, I'm in a relationship with Deion Cole because he followed me on TikTok and we just started DMing. That's not Deion is not stuck somewhere in New York City who needs your $500, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's basic.
Just breaking news, just like Dr. Umar thought the Kamala Harris campaign text him to say, we want to pay you $10,000 for a sit down. Get out. I want to say something else, but go sit down.
Really? Right. You know what I'm saying? So that it just takes a moment. Now, here's the thing. PWIs get caught up in scandals as well, but there's so few.
Yeah, but he tried it with them. That's the thing.
Right.
He tried it with them. Yeah, and I can remember it's
and they said,
South Carolina Gulf Coast.
Coastal
Somewhere in
Carolina, I think it was.
Coastal Carolina. The name popped up because actually I was on my tour in DC. An intern walked me from one side to the other, and I was asking him. I was like, "Where do you go to school?" He said, "Coastal Carolina." I was like,
"He tried it with them."
I know that name. He tried with them. He tried with a school in Texas. No go. We didn't hear about it until the big one, right? But it's just like, even though they get a lot of money in, more money than probably we do, and verify things,
right?
They took the time to be like, this don't one. They probably would have said the color of his skin first. We got to check these financials because we don't know. Besides Jay-Z and some other people in tech,
right? And Dr. Dre and Nas. That's it.
Yeah, we don't know any other black male with this kind of money that's willing to give this kind of money.
Right.
With stock, we would have seen him. He would have been on Forbes. He would have been here. It didn't happen. So
yeah, and I think the vetting process, even that we do in leadership roles, even if we, you got your own book references, you got your off book references, you got to do your deep dives. I remember at one institution, I had a colleague, and I noticed that they were about to hire somebody that I said, no, you can't do that. I called him. I said, I don't even work there anymore. And I was like, no, you probably want to Google that. Google that. Google that. And no one had Googled it. No one had checked the name. No one had checked the references. No one had done anything.
yeah.
And then they went, girl, thank you.
Yeah.
But these are these are the things you have to do. What kind of environment, so that when your search committees are together, allow them the time to call the people that they know at these other institutions and really engage with what kind of environment and fit. Now, if that's what you want, okay.
And you know the difference between hate and
right and real. If someone says, as I've been instructed, to say at some point, well, the attorney said that we're supposed to tell you X, Y, and Z. The attorney said that's what we're gonna tell y'all. So all I can tell you is this.
And from that statement alone.
Right. So you have to be able to, and this is why search committees are so important. This is and to understand who's on the committee, their own personal agendas and biases and needs and wants. You've got to understand that kind of mix. Some things you're not going to be able to help. It's not going to be perfect. You also have to, it's the same thing we were talking about hiring faculty, because 6 years later, when tenure doesn't go well, that's because you didn't hire well. You didn't hire for your fit. You didn't hire for. So it's the same thing with academic leadership. When it goes badly, go back and do the autopsy of how you got there.
Yeah.
And I think this is a prime example. How did we get here for such a promising and historic institution?
Yeah. I haven't like went back to like look at LinkedIn profiles or resumes or CVs. I honestly don't think this is incompetence.
No, I think this was just this was a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And this was then
Because
an
the most confident people can get overwhelmed, overstressed, excited, pushed.
Yeah.
And we don't know. I mean, but no stories came out. I would have sung like a bird and say, "Hey, I tried to tell the president this was trash, but you made me."
Like Bernie, I tried to call you, but the line was busy. I promise I did. I promise I did.
I think that would have come out earlier,
I
but
am not going to the unemployment line by myself. I will not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, any parting thoughts?
Well, I want to say give a shout out to all those parents who have bought out all of the comforter sets at Walmart and Target and Home Goods, and you've gotten all your kids stuff ready for college. Let them fly a little bit. You've done your work, and you still have work to do. Never send them a post-dated check. Um, check in with them. Make sure that they sign their FERPA waiver, and that if your students are in their sophomore, junior, or senior year, that FERPA waiver you signed freshman year is now invalid. So you need to sign it every year and renew your FERPA so that you can have contact if you need to. Allow them to mess up a little bit, because if you don't want them to be a mess up in life, and mess up is really not the word and phrase I really want to use, then you got to let them fall a little bit. Just to figure it out. Help them work their college experience to get the education, not just the degree. So my parting words for that is to tell them to go to office hours. Let them stay on campus. Let them go to things. Go to the things offered by their department. Let them learn how to engage and develop professionally. Don't be afraid for them to go off to research assistantships. Let them be college students and young adults, and let them also know that you're there to embrace them and to be a safety net if something goes wrong. Don't just, they're 18, they're 19. They're not adults. Not yet. They're still teenagers.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's a shout out for my daughter, who is now should be on the road, if she's not already there, taking my grandson to college for the first time. So we'll see.
Yeah. This is Dr. Will, and I approve that message.
And stack up the refrigerator, please, with healthy snacks. Per Dr. Wheeler. And her policy of granola and salty things
Well, not all granola is great, right? Back then I was eating granola.
Whatever she tells you, she'll put out,
fresh fruits, water. Tell them to drink lots of water.
Yes.
Away from the sodas.
Oh, one thing. If you have bought them a printer for their room, please buy some extra ink. Do not tell them about it just yet. Just wait. Buy them extra ink pack and throw it under the bed. Put it somewhere under the bed. An extra ream of paper, put it under the bed. And a jump drive, put it under the bed. So that around the time of late September, October, they're going to run out of ink. They're going to run out of paper. And they're going to either lose the jump drive that they had originally, or it will fail. So it happens all the time, and it's going to happen right when the stores have closed or they have no money. So go on and do it now while you're spending it. Put it under the bed and hide it from them, please, until they need it. Yeah.
one day we're going to do a thing. We're not going to say it because it's not trademark yet. But we're going to do a college success course for parents, helping your kid get through.
Yes.
Whether you first gen, second gen, third gen, it's different. You gotta continue your education.
And if you have not received it, you all need to really check out Go Wiser by our very own Dr. Erin Wheeler.
Still don't have no book to present. I am trash. It is sitting in my living room on the shelf.
Go Wiser. Trust me, it's great. It's great for parents to read. It's great for students to read. It's really a good lesson in all of the things that they're going to experience, and they're not going to want to call you about. Tell you. So
Go Wiser everywhere you get books. It's ebook. It's a quick read. I did it intentionally, but it's everything that I wish someone would have told me along the way. I learned a little bit too late, but it's also research based because I do. My specialty is in first year experience. Yeah.
Oh, and then when you drop them off and come back home, then you can go pick up my romance suspense novels, Deserving Grace and Finding His Treasure, because they're out of the house, baby.
You kick your feet up and read something. You
haven't read a book since they were in the 4th grade. So listen. Get you some me time. Give yourself a massage and a date night and all of the things to really enjoy your life.
Yes. Well, have a great weekend. We are recording this on a Friday. Have a great weekend. Stay dry. If you're anywhere in Louisiana, Mississippi on the Gulf Coast, stay dry. Have great fun. Stay cool because it's still hot.
Very much so. Very much so.
And we will see you episode 11. Can't wait. I would announce it every time we try to pre-announce topics. Something big happens and we got to knock it. But we've been pushing this back, but it's always current because there's always presidents that are resigning every week. So, I mean, it was always current. But we do have a lot to talk about in governance and then who's in, who's out, and how it's affecting college and universities, period. Right. So, we will definitely have that up in our upcoming episodes. I won't promise 11. But yeah, stay up to date on the YSL trial so you can have some good laughs.
Yes. I don't recall. That's the phrase of the week. I don't recall.
All right, everybody. See you next time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. This episode was sponsored by Holistic Higher Ed Solutions, committed to enhancing student success. From coaching to planning, our practitioners empower institutions. Ready to transform? Visit holisticheredsolutions.com and let's revolutionize higher ed together. Be sure to subscribe, review, and join us next time.